Do you feel 100%? Like you can trust the arm 100%?
100%? No. Yeah.
What does it take to get there? Just time, or is there something else?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably feel 100% in the off season, next training camp.
I guess you don't necessarily need to be 100% to play.
No one's 100% at this point, so it's just, can you be productive and is it safe?
Elbow, forearm, he's going to be down.
The result of the play is a touchdown.
And the flag that was thrown on this was picked up.
I don't know, did it get the face mask?
Only do that if you're telling the official you're reporting.
The Lions hangover.
Well, here we go, everybody. It is time for the showdown. 14-2, defending NFC North champions versus the 14-2 wannabe NFC champions, NFC North champions, the Minnesota Vikings. I am Brad. You are, of course, listening to your fifth favorite podcast about the Detroit Lions, the Lions Hangover Podcast. Before we dive into everything, man, I'm getting excited just talking about this. But don't forget, please find me on all social medias, X, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, please subscribe to the show. If you're liking what you hear, please subscribe. Rate this bastard 5 stars for me. And then if you want to leave like a written review talking about how sexy my voice is, that's appreciated. But if you want to talk about how my voice sounds like I'm just gargling some garbage the entire time, that's also appreciated as long as you give me the 5 stars. Don't really care after the 5-star part. Oh, God, here it comes, buddy. Sunday, 8:20, kickoff time, NBC, Peacock, last game of the season for the NFL of the regular season, of course, that is. Oh, man. You know, before this, first off, I got to give credit to the Minnesota Vikings. Congrats. You exceeded everybody's expectations, not just mine, everybody. You took in Sam Darnold, who was a castaway for pretty much every NFL team. The Jets destroyed him. Carolina has no idea what they're doing in the NFL. Perhaps the little stint he had in San Francisco helped him. Maybe he picked something up from Kyle Shanahan or Brock Purdy. You never know. Or maybe it's just a situation where it does take, 6-7 years in the NFL to fully develop, 5 years, however long Sam Darnold has been in the league. Maybe it just takes time for a quarterback to truly develop, or maybe it just took time for him to truly develop. No matter what the situation, maybe it's just the system in Minnesota. It's all fitting together perfectly for the Vikings. It doesn't hurt that he also has one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in the NFL in Jefferson. There's also a companion piece with Addison. Oh, and don't forget Jones, the running back. Those are all good pieces, man. And the Vikings, they have it coming together. And they, like I said, exceeded everybody's expectations, and they reached 14-2. And now they come and challenge us, who, obviously we're 14-2. And, we have something to say. Look, this is going to be a tough game. This is like everything the NFL hoped it would be when they made the schedule. I don't think anybody could have predicted 14-2 for both of these teams. Okay. Of course, I had the Lions going 14-3. But I thought that sounded ridiculous. So I just went ahead and said 13-4. I see no reason why the Lions can't be 15-2, get that first round bye, and the number 1 seed in the NFC. I see no reason that can't happen. We heard Alex Anzalone talking there about his arm. That makes me a little bit nervous. We'll talk about that in just a moment when we start talking about the injuries. Minnesota has some injuries of their own. Again, we'll talk about that in just a second. However, I do want to go over some stats to sort of set up this game. There are a lot of comparisons to be made, and the comparisons are, it's actually very similar. Two teams, very similar if the story is stats. So let's talk about the stats real quick. Okay, the Minnesota Vikings lead the series 80-44-2 all time against the Detroit Lions. However, the Lions, of course, are winners of 5 out of 6, including the last 4 against the Vikings. It's been tough battles throughout the years, but, the Vikings had like a 8-game win streak, just not much before that. Last time we played was October 20th of this year in Minnesota. Of course, the Lions ended up winning that game by a Jake Bates field goal. Jake Bates field goal. I was going to say something else here because Khalif Raymond had that last touchdown from Jared Goff. That final score was 31-29. Aaron Jones, he had a touchdown. Vikings had a 10-0 lead going into that second quarter. Then that second quarter was all Detroit Lions, 21-0. They each scored a touchdown in the third. And then the Lions only scored a field goal in the fourth. Vikings scored 12, but that field goal was all we needed from Jake Bates to close out that game. So this is where the similarities start. Not in just, we'll talk about the game here, okay? And I know I went over these stats a few weeks ago. Lions had 19 first downs. Vikings had 16, okay? Lions had 391 yards. Vikings had 383. This is how close this crap is. Lions had 144 yards rushing. Vikings had 139. It's like we're looking in a mirror, okay? The Lions had 247 yards passing. Vikings had 244 yards passing. All right? That's the net passing yards after sacks. Lions punted the ball 4 times. Vikings punted the ball 3 times. They each had 2 punt returns. Lions had an interception, of course. Each team was penalized 8 times. 8 times. Okay. Lions had crazy. They had 3 fumbles, but only 1 was lost. They did go 1 for 1 on their field goals, and the Vikings went 3 for 3 on their field goals. Now, in the game, Jared Goff went 22 of 25 for 280 yards. He finished with 140 quarterback rating. Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 carries, 116 yards. Montgomery, 9 carries, 31 yards. St. Brown, Gibbs had 2 touchdowns, by the way. St. Brown, 8 catches, 112 yards. Gibbs, 4 catches, 44 yards. Montgomery, 3 catches, 39. I don't want to rehash all of this. I'm just trying to paint this story. Okay, so like I said, 22 of 25 for 280 yards. Sam Darnold, 22 of 27 for 259 yards. Each Goff and Darnold were sacked 4 times. Okay, Darnold finished with a 103.5. Jones, 14 carries, 93 yards. That's a bit of a threat. Darnold ran the ball 4 times for 39 yards. We cannot let that happen again. Now, overall, offensive leaders in the league. Number 2 passing in the NFC. I was going to say NFL. It could be the NFL. Number 2 passer by yards is Jared Goff, 4,398. Number 4, just 2 spots down, is Sam Darnold. Okay? Sam Darnold. Number 2 wide receiver in the league based on yards, Justin Jefferson, 1,479 yards. Number 4, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 1,186 yards. This is so freaking close, guys. This is so freaking close, okay? Total offense yards. Lions, for the season, are the number 2 team, averaging 410.5 yards of offense per game. That's number 2 in the league. The Vikings they're 12th in the league with 352 yards of total offense. Passing, the Lions are once again number 2 in the league with 266.1 yards per game passing. The Vikings, number 5, 243.8 yards per game passing. Running the ball, the Lions are 6th in the league with 144.4 yards per carry. The Vikings are 19th in the league with 108.4 yards rushing. The Lions are number 1 in the NFL with points scored. Better than anybody, baby. We're averaging 33.3 points per game. That comes out to 533 points scored this season. The Vikings are, however, 9th in the NFL with 423 points scored. They are averaging 26.4 points per game. The Lions have scored 110 points more than the Vikings this year. They've played, for the most part, the same teams the Vikings have, except 2 games. There's only been 2 teams the Vikings played that we didn't play, and there's been 2 teams we played that the Vikings... You get what I'm saying. Okay, and we've scored 110 more points than them. So that means when we're matched up with other teams, we have outperformed the Vikings, okay? Now, defensively, the Vikings are 16th in the league with yards allowed of offense. They are giving up 331.8 yards of offense per game. The Lions, however, are 22 in the league. They are giving up 347.4 yards per game. Lions have one of the worst pass defenses in the league. They are number 31 in the league, giving up 250.4 yards per game in the air. However, the Vikings are 28th in the league with 243.6 yards in the air per game. So, still pretty close. Now, defensively, the Lions are 3rd, giving up 97 yards flat on the ground per game, okay? The Vikings, however, are just slightly better at 88.1 yards per game on the ground that they give up. That's the number 2 run defense. So both teams are phenomenal against the run. Both teams are garbage against the pass. Now, the Lions are 9th in the league, allowing 333 points per game. The Vikings are 4th in the league. They've only given up 301 points. The Lions are 2.5-point favorites for this game at Ford Field. The over-under for total points scored is 56.5. So Vegas is predicting this thing to be a bit of a shootout. Now the Vikings have 8 players on their injury report, while the Detroit Lions have 7 players on their injury report. The most famous for the Lions, well, we have Khalif Raymond. He should be back. He was a full participant in practice. Amik Robertson, he was a full participant in practice. He should be okay. He's got a calf injury. Jack Campbell, he's got a rib injury. He should be okay. Alex Anzalone, he is the one that is unknown. He was a full participant in practice. He did say something in the interview earlier. He said, for me personally, I think it's like, okay, say if something did happen, would I be okay not playing in the Super Bowl? He said. So, that makes me a bit suspicious, concerned that he might not play this weekend. I hope he does play because we are desperately going to need him. Jack Campbell's done a great job, but it's not just the Jack Campbell show. We need more. We need another linebacker, and this is where Anzalone, of course, comes in. I don't understand why he just can't play with a huge-ass cast on his arm. As long as he has movement in his elbow, I feel like he should be okay. Man, he said he's not 100% though, as you heard in that the pre-show interview there when he met with the press earlier. We'll just have to see, man. I hope he goes. I've heard both that he's gonna play, and I've heard that he's already been listed as out. So we will just have to see what happens. Of course, David Montgomery's on that injury report. He did not participate. I don't expect him to be back to the playoffs. Of course, Christian Mahogany, he's got an illness, so who knows if he will play or not. And Emmanuel Mosley, who we haven't seen all season. I don't even know what the deal is. He's listed as having an illness, but we will have to wait and see. Now, the Vikings, they've got Camus Grugier-Hill. He's a linebacker. He's unknown. Josh Oliver, tight end. He's unknown. Harrison Smith, he's unknown. He does have 1 sack on the season, 83 tackles, 2 interceptions and 9 passes defended, so I'm sure they would appreciate if he was in the game. Fabian Moreau, he only has 7 tackles on the year, so he's probably not a huge contributor. Aaron Jones has a quad injury, but I've heard that he will be in the game and that there's not going to be much that will keep him out of it, so he's just taking it easy in practice. He was a limited participant in the last practice report. Then there's, they have CJ Ham. He's a fullback. He's only played in 8 games this year. And then they have Patrick Jones the second. He's unknown. He's got a knee injury. He's a big piece for them. He's got 7 sacks on the year, 9 tackles for loss, only 39 tackles though. And then they have an offensive guard, Ed Ingram. He's only played in 2 games though, so we should be okay there. Now, what should we really expect from the game? We are, of course, without David Montgomery, who had 33 yards on the ground. Overall, we had, I think, over 150 yards rushing, which is pretty amazing considering that they have a top run defense. I think we are the exception to their outstanding run defense. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be on fire. He is going to blow up the Vikings. This is how we win. Controlling the ball, running the ball. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have over 120 yards on the ground and over 40 yards in the air. I think he is going to be the dynamic weapon. He's going to be the difference maker. I think he's going to have 2 touchdowns or more. Okay. I think Sam Laporta is going to have a fantastic game. I think Jameson Williams is going to have a fantastic game. I think St. Brown's going to have a good game, but I don't think it's going to be the St. Brown show. I think it's going to be a lot like last week as far as JMO goes and as far as St. Brown goes. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. St. Brown could get a touchdown, but he might only have 80 yards receiving. I think JMO's going to have about 130 yards. I think there's going to be at least one deep play, or maybe it's going to be a reverse and he scores on that again. There's going to be, I'm looking for at least 2 trick plays. This is one of those games where you are going to have to throw all you have at the Vikings. This is probably our most worthy opponent. No disrespect, Buffalo Bills. We had just won 11 in a row, and I think we were kind of letting off the gas a little bit, and we just wanted to get that loss out of the way. I think every single Detroit Lion is going to be pumped up and ready to play. I am pumped up and ready to watch this game. I won't be at this one. Too sad. I kind of regret that now, but, needed the money. I have no idea who my tickets went to either. I hope it went to Lions fans. I will find out. I have scouts there at the game letting me know who bought the tickets, so we will see. Hopefully it's Detroit Lion fans, though. God, I'm trying to think of a score in my head. Now the Vikings, they're going to come at us with everything they can. Sam Darnold's probably going to have a similar game as he had last time. I would guess around 250, 270 yards. Justin Jefferson, he only had 80 yards against us that last time, and the story right now is that he always has huge games against the Lions, but they still lose. So I look for the same. Look for Justin Jefferson to have 130 yards, but that doesn't mean that they're going to beat us. Okay. And we know Hawkinson, Hawkinson still hasn't had, as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't had that game that has made us regret trading him. That is for sure. He just has not had that game. Now, we haven't played a game against the Vikings without Alex Anzalone, matched up against Hawkinson. So, who knows if Anzalone doesn't go, who knows what the coverage is going to look like on Hawkinson. Maybe Hawkinson will have a breakout game, and maybe that'll be the difference maker. I think we all want it. Well, from an entertainment standpoint, we all want it to be close, don't we? Don't we want that last minute comeback? Something exciting, something from Hollywood. That's what the script writers would have, But honestly, I want to kill them. I want to destroy them. I want like a 45-17 win. That's what I want. I don't want it to ever be in doubt. You cannot leave these guys hanging out. And I'll say it. Hey, we got lucky kicking that field goal at the end of the game. Walking out of there. We got lucky. We cannot leave Minnesota in this game. All right? We cannot. There's too much on the line right now. You're going to go from having home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The Super Bowl runs through Detroit. You're going to go from that to, and you get a week off, which the Lions desperately need, and we will look completely different. If we get that bye week, we come back for that divisional round, we will look completely different as a team. Almost everybody will be back from injury on that, okay? You're looking at Carlton Davis Jr., he should be back. Montgomery should be back, okay? If Anzalone doesn't come back this week, he will be back, okay? Everybody except Hutch will be back, and who knows, maybe Hutch could be back for the conference championship. I kind of want him to be if we're playing against the Eagles. If it's not the Eagles, then I'll be totally cool if he doesn't come back to the Super Bowl. But who knows what's going to happen there. But if you don't win this game, yes, the Lions are still going to win the Super Bowl. I fully believe this with everything in my being, man. We will win the Super Bowl. But if we lose this game, there will be no home playoff game, no first round bye, okay? You'll likely have to go to Tampa Bay or LA to play that first round, and I'm completely, no, I'm good with both. At this moment, I'm good with both. I would rather play Tampa Bay because it's our turn to win. Not that it's not like they're going to share, but however, I feel like matchup-wise, Tampa Bay, Washington, those are going to be the two easier teams in the playoffs, okay? No disrespect. I'm happy for both of those teams, especially Washington, to make it to the playoffs. But if you're looking at potential matchups in the playoffs, it is possible we could play any one of the other 6 teams, if everybody, who knows how it's going to play out. But right now, you're kind of, Washington would be the easiest, Tampa Bay would be the second easiest. We're not going to play Washington unless they just keep winning. You kind of don't want to play Green Bay because are you going to beat that same team 3 times? Well, you're going to have to. You're going to have to do something impossible to make it to the Super Bowl, okay? That's how it's going to go. And you don't deserve to be in the Super Bowl if you can't do something impossible. And right now, our first impossible task is to sweep the Vikings, to get a back-to-back NFC North championship. I want to see a new number, a new year on that banner that sits right above me in my seat. I want to see a new year up there, okay? I want that first round bye, and I want home field advantage. That your first impossible task is beating the Minnesota Vikings, and I think we can do it. I think we're going to be pumped up. I think we're going to be motivated. We know what's at stake here. The problem is we have a worthy opponent coming in who also knows what's at stake, and they've been waiting for this, and they want to take down the top dog. And that's us. So it's going to be, this is Rocky versus Ivan Drago. This is Rocky versus Clubber Lang. For some reason, I still feel like the freaking underdog. Why? Yeah, I still feel like with all the success that the Lions have had this year, the last 2 years, there's still people that put other teams above us in power rankings. To me, that's disrespectful. We are having the best season ever in our franchise history, and we still get disrespected. Jared Goff is having an MVP-type caliber. They are not taking him seriously. Dan Campbell is having Coach of the Year caliber year. I have not heard much of him in the Coach of the Year talk. I've heard him as a candidate, just like I've heard Dan Campbell, Jared Goff. I've heard these guys talk, or get talked about, but they're not being taken seriously. They're not. Nobody's talking about Kirby Joseph as Defensive Player of the Year, except us here in Detroit. The dude leads the league in interceptions. He is the number 1 safety in the NFL. His PFF grade is like in the 90s, the low 90s. It's outstanding how awesome Kirby Joseph is playing. Nobody is talking about that, okay? They finally got some recognition. 7 people are going to the Pro Bowl. They have a crap ton of alternates. That's amazing. Kirby Joseph is not one of the people. He's like the first alternate or something like that. That is the biggest diss to me. That's unreasonable, man. Now, our offense is getting some recognition. I saw Frank Ragnow. He made it. Obviously, Jared Goff, St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, those guys are going, and they deserve to be. Sadly, like, our entire offense deserves to go to the Pro Bowl. And about 25% of our defense deserves to go. Obviously, Hutch would need to go. McNeil would need to go. Anzalone would need to go. Jack Campbell would need to go. Both Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph need to go. As far as I'm concerned, those are the guys that should be there on defense, And it just didn't work out that way. So, guys, I'm excited. I will be back right after the game Sunday night. I'll put that episode out right after the game. Okay. So please subscribe. I hope you had a good time. I don't think there's much else I can say. I am so freaking fired up and ready to go. Yes. I'll be like the Ultimate Warrior, just shaking that top rope. That's a WWF reference from 1987, if you guys didn't know. All right. But that's it for me. I can't wait. This is going to be a good time, guys. Hey, and I don't want to sound, like a defeatist or anything like that. Win or lose, it's been a hell of a season, okay? And win or lose, do not freak out. The road changed, but the goal doesn't, We're still going to make it to the Super Bowl. We're still going to win the Super Bowl. It's still going to happen. Win or lose, I am not worried about that. Not in the least, okay? And if anything, a loss would actually fire us up more, I feel like. But then that's just my personal opinion. The Lions are going to win this game. I believe it, though. I can see it. 15-2, first time ever. A lot of teams, it's the first time we've ever done it, but a lot of teams have never done it. So it's not like we're the last to the party, which that makes me feel good. When they said that the Lions, first time 13-win season, that's the first time Lions ever did that, I thought that was kind of sad. I was like, Jesus, man. At least every team has won 13 games at least once. And that's the first time we've done it. And here we are at 14, on the verge of 15. Let's just go 15, baby. Let's just go 15. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with my voice. Last game of the regular season. We've got this. I will see you guys after the game Sunday. Have a good one. Hey, and if we make it to the Super Bowl, I'll call it right now. I'll do a video episode if we make it to the Super Bowl. And I'll work on getting a guest. I don't know who that would be. I'll work on getting a guest, though. All right, you guys have a good day. Good night, whatever. Whenever you're listening to this, take care. Please rate, subscribe the show. And all right. Peace out.